So I'm here at the local Black Lives Matter protest in Grayslake, Illinois. We have a lot of people showing up. More importantly, a lot of young people showing up, which is really important for the cause because young people are important for any movement. All right, so we have a fellow protester here at Grayslake doing the Black Lives Matter protests. And why do you feel that what is happening here is so important?
I think it's important to show support for a community that otherwise may not have the support that they need here in Grayslake. I think it's very important to show up and show unity.
Why do you think what's happening here is so important?
I think it's super important that we're protesting because you need to make your voice heard, especially the younger generation. We're the generation that's going to make the change. History's proven time and time again that the only way to make a change is to make your voice heard and protest. That's how it's happened in the past, and I think that right now obviously systematic racism is a really big problem.
Yes,
and,
it is.
I think that even though, you know, most of my friends here, we are not people of color, but we're going to stand with them and fight with them and protect them because, you know, even though they try to protect themselves, at the end of the day, our justice system doesn't protect them.
How do you feel about so many young people gathering here today for the Black Lives Matter movement?
I think it's their constitutional right, for one. That's what this country was built on.
Because black people have been mistreated for way too long, and this is like a movement, things need to change. So people, when they show up, they show that they're ready for change.
So they're ready for change. People are ready for change. That's why they're showing up today.
Absolutely. 2020 is the year for change.
Right.
2020 is the year for change. So why do you think it's so important that specifically young people show up to these sorts of things?
I think young people, it's very important for young people to start showing up because our parents and our relatives, elderly people, they've been taught different. And I think that us as young people need to show the way and pave the right path for the future and for future generations.
They're the new generation, so you know, it starts with us, but it doesn't matter if it starts here and then doesn't get carried on. It's important that, you know, it does get carried on, so the new generation needs to carry it on with this movement that we're starting.
That's a really good point. Like, we're starting it, but we don't want it to fizzle out. We want it to actually matter.
So I think it's important that young people show up because we're the next generation, we're the leaders, you know, that have to, you know, take this thing on and make sure this history doesn't repeat itself. So it's important that we stay together and spread our message in all levels of society to make sure that, you know, again, this doesn't happen and that we stay together and do our best to, you know, lead the next generation.
I think it is a great way to show that they have a voice, that maybe stuff they learned in school or through mainstream media or their parents isn't necessarily true, and that they have a voice, they can come out, make a difference, show other young people that it's safe to do that, and that their voices are heard. It's so important, I think, to break the conditioning that we've all had over the past, I don't know how many years. And I have 2 very young children, they're not here, but my goal is for them to have the same kind of voice when they grow up.
I think what you said about young people coming to these sorts of things and encouraging other people so they're not so afraid to do it.
Right.
I think that's so important,
Right.
especially when it comes to breaking the social conditioning that
Yeah.
we've clearly been under this massive spell, especially, I mean, media around the world is not necessarily good, but the American media is really bad.
Yeah, I've been, yeah, I don't let my kids watch it.
It's really important for young people to show up because they're what's going to build this country as this country continues. If there's no young people standing up for what they believe in, when they get older, when they're trying to use these rights that they have, it's not going to be the rights that they want.
Okay.
So they got to fight for what they want for as they get older, as they grow up, when they have kids, making sure that their kids have the rights that they want to.
So it's maybe it's also it comes along with kind of like passing the torch. Like, we did this while we were young, you can do this while you're young.
Yeah.
Kind of just like, don't sit down and take it. You got to fight for what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
So the march of people have moved about a couple miles away. So we're driving to go catch up to it. I believe the protesters are blocking off an intersection, and we're about to park and head over there. It's really awesome to see so many people, especially so many young people, show up to something that involves so much passion. It's good to see it being represented out here in the suburbs, the far suburbs of Chicago, because it might not get the awareness out here like it would naturally in the city where there's millions of more people. So it's really important that people come out here so people out in the suburbs also see what's going on, because maybe they don't necessarily understand what's going on. As I approach this, it appears to be a protest with silence.
Let's move forward. Let's make a hard right.
So that concludes a large silent protest in which the protesters were sitting and blocking off an intersection, all in a unified silence.
I mean, the answer is simple, like, we're the future generation and we are the change. That's it.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, there's people in power now, but the people who are going to be leading the world, you know, years from now, and I mean even just a couple of years from now, are going to be the ones who are the most important in influencing what's going on.
I can't breathe! 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 I can't breathe anymore.
I am both shocked and amazed to see you all out here today. It means a lot to me, and using our voices in this way is helping to be part of the change that is absolutely necessary in today's world. There is a lot to be said about strength in numbers, and that was proved true today. We may be stronger together, but your individual voice has power too. I hope that when you leave here today, you're impacted enough to continue to use your voice to help make this country a safer place for our Black brothers and sisters. Your voice is the most powerful weapon you have, and it is vital that you take what we started here today a step further. To see the change, you need to be the change. Continue the conversation with local politicians or law enforcement and support the people who best represent your voice by voting in all elections from local to national ones. It is our responsibility to educate our brothers and sisters not to know while spreading our message of peace and acceptance to others. Remember that change and justice are a process, and by fighting this injustice, you are now part of the change that we desperately need. Thank you for coming out today.
So being the organizer of this protest here in Grayslake, why do you think it's so important specifically that young people show up to these sort of things?
You know, our grandparents and our parents set the way that our society has been growing, and I think it's time for a change. You know, we're the voice of the next generation, and I want to make sure that when I leave the world behind, it's a better place.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I think it's awesome that you're taking the initiative and organizing a really important thing like this. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah! No justice, no peace!
Police!
No justice, no peace!
No racist police. No justice. No peace. No racist police. No justice.
You gotta come out and show fucking support, or else there's not gonna be enough people like thinking, you're not gonna change other minds that are sitting on the benches. You know, those people that are like almost like trying to make up their mind. You gotta get out so they can see that there's more people like willing to go for a movement and help get those people to come help with the injustice.
Yeah, the whole first follower thing. As soon as one person sees someone else,
the second person that's
it's a
most
chain
important.
reaction. It's the second person that's the most react.
That's the most important because they're the ones that commit to the actual act.
I mean, without all these people coming together and you know, making their voices heard, nothing's ever going to happen about it. Police are going to sit there and laugh at you know, nothing being done because they're the ones in control of what could be done. So now we're out here.
Look, if you want, you can take a little zoom in the back and you can see how these officers are smiling and laughing.
Yeah, they think it's
hilarious. This is a very good example right there.
That's really cool then, but we're shitting on any bad officers from here on out. We're not gonna let that shit slide anymore, so, you know, as long as everyone comes together. And on top of that, bro, I mean, just look at all the colors out here together. You know, nobody's arguing, nobody's here for this, that, or the other. It's over brutality, and especially against black people. So I think it's necessary.
Qualify yourself to run for our state senate. And when you are 35, you had better be ready to fight the most important battle of your life and to make sure you are worthy to be our nation's leader, because we do not have a leader right now. We need people brave enough to stand up and fight for what they believe in, to run for what they know is important, and to represent the people who are not being represented right now. Signing petitions donating to bail out causes, arrested just for peacefully protesting. There are many other ways. Please look into that, everybody. Hashtag Grayslake Black United we fall, united we stand, 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 united we fall.
We must stand, unite as one people, one nation under God. Yes!
Together, 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 together.